Matthew 27, 3-10, the price of innocent blood. Matthew records a solemn moment that unfolds immediately after Jesus is delivered to the Roman governor. The narrative turns briefly from the proceedings against Jesus to the fate of the one who betrayed him. The passage begins with Judas seeing that Jesus had been condemned. Matthew writes, "Then Judas, which had betrayed him, when he saw that he was condemned, repented himself and brought again the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders." Matthew 27, verse 3. The word used here describes a deep regret and anguish over what had been done. Judas had walked with Jesus, heard his teaching, and witnessed his works. Yet he had delivered him to the authorities for 30 pieces of silver, fulfilling the prophetic pattern of the rejected shepherd. Now, seeing the result of his betrayal, he returns the payment to those who orchestrated the arrest. Judas declares openly, "I have sinned in that I have betrayed the innocent blood." Matthew 27, 4. Even the betrayer acknowledges the innocence of Jesus. This confession stands as another witness in Matthew's account that the one being condemned was without guilt. Throughout the trial narrative, voices repeatedly affirm the innocence of Christ. Judas here, Pilate shortly after, and even the events surrounding the crucifixion itself. The chief priests and elders respond coldly. "What is that to us? See thou to that." Their words reveal their hardened resolve. They had already determined the outcome and were unmoved by the admission of wrongdoing from the very man they had used to carry out their scheme. Their concern was not justice, but the removal of the one they perceived as a threat. Judas throws the silver pieces into the temple and departs. Matthew writes that he went and hanged himself. Matthew 27, verse 5. The act closes the tragic arc of the betrayer within the narrative. The one who delivered Jesus to death is himself overtaken by despair. The chief priests gather the money and declare that it is not lawful to place it into the temple treasury because it is the price of blood. Matthew 27, verse 6. Their statement reveals a striking irony. While they had no hesitation in condemning an innocent man, they suddenly appeal to legal scruples regarding the use of the money. Their concern for ceremonial propriety contrasts sharply with their role in bringing about the coming of the Messiah. Instead of placing the silver into the treasury, they use it to buy the potter's field as a burial place for strangers. Matthew notes that this field became known as the Field of Blood, Matthew 27, verse 7-8. The name memorializes the circumstances surrounding the money used to purchase it. Matthew then draws attention to the prophetic significance of these events. He writes, "Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremy the prophet, saying, And they took the 30 pieces of silver, the price of him that was valued, whom they of the children of Israel did value, and gave them for the potter's field, as the Lord appointed me." Matthew 27, 9-10. The language reflects the prophetic imagery found in Zechariah and Jeremiah, where the rejected shepherd is valued at 30 pieces of silver, and the money becomes associated with the potter and the house of the Lord. Matthew sees the events surrounding Judas and the chief priests as the unfolding of what had been spoken long before. The price placed upon the Messiah, 30 pieces of silver, was the value of a slave according to the law. Exodus 21:32. In this way, the leaders of Israel assessed the worth of the one sent to them. Yet through this rejection, the purposes spoken through the prophets were brought to completion. Matthew's gospel repeatedly shows that the events surrounding Jesus' suffering did not occur outside the scope of God's design. What unfolded in Jerusalem was the culmination of the story long anticipated in the scriptures. The betrayal, the price, the potter's field, and even the actions of those opposing Jesus all move within the framework of what had been spoken beforehand. Thus, within this brief account of Judas and the 30 pieces of silver, Matthew presents both the tragedy of betrayal and the certainty that the events leading to the cross were the fulfillment of what had been foretold concerning the Messiah.